Hello, it's Purge, bringing you guys a replay commentary of a Pudge game that I played a couple days ago. I know I haven't made too many replay commentaries, sorry about that. I'm coming up on TI soon, which means I'm also probably not going to make replay commentaries there. But quick announcement, if you guys haven't caught it yet, I made both my Compendium Predictions video, which I released this morning, and I don't know when this video is coming out, I guess. And I've also started releasing the Learn Dota episodes. Episode 1 is currently out. I think episode 2 should be posted shortly as well. So tune in for those and make sure that you guys check those out. If you guys are still trying to get better at Dota, really recommend the Learn Dota series. And as the episodes come out, they're going to get more and more advanced, and I'm sure you guys will learn stuff. So first things first, let's hop into talking about Pudge as a hero. We probably won't focus too much time on this page. But keep in mind, I am sponsored by Dotabuff, therefore this is part of the reason I'm doing this, but it's still really helpful. So don't sue me, FCC, or fine me or whatever. But let's be real, do they do anything like that nowadays? That was a politics joke, sorry. Okay, so Pudge as a hero is extremely popular right now. His pick rate is massive. He's 50% of all heroes in the game right now, so that basically means that every other game there's a Pudge in the game, and he's been pretty high as well. So the reason that he is now popular in the pro scene as well is because of the fact that he is very effective as a support hero now. In the past, like years and years ago, Pudge never really worked out as a core because he doesn't transition into the mid game very appropriately. But now he's very effective there because he's a support. Therefore, you can do support things, and then you can get into the mid game and be really strong. In the past, he was much better as a tri-lane hero because Rot would deal a lot of damage to himself. But as long as you're in a tri-lane, it's okay because you're 3 versus 1 hero. You can chase people down, and then you could transition. But what kind of changed him in a big way was that they reduced the Rot slow at level 1s. Then he kind of became crappy again at dual lanes, and then they made the hook damage really high at level 1, so it does 150 pure with 1 skill point. And the hook range also became the same at all levels, so it's more consistent to land hooks where you expect them to land. So basically, meat hook was really good level 1. They just nerfed it to increase the cooldown to 27 seconds, up from like 17 or something like that. But it still does a lot of damage, 150 pure, and what you basically do with Pudge now as in the laning stage as a support is you hook people to deal a lot of pure damage, because 150 pure is equivalent to like 200 magic damage, and then you rot chase them, or you right click them a little bit to lower their HP. So you basically use it as a way to trade effectively, because you'll hook somebody way out of position, then you and your ally beat on that guy while he runs back. So that's why Pudge is effective right now, because of hooking people at level 1 and harassing them. You don't get Rot level 1 anymore, just because the slow is weak, and you're still dealing as much damage to your hero as you are to theirs. So a mix of regen items and a little bit of mana regen is basically what you want to do for the laning stage on Pudge. Skill build wise, something like this looks okay, but more realistically, pro players this is actually a bad skill build, I don't recommend this. It does lower the hook cooldown and the damage goes up, but it only goes up by 70 damage per level. The real benefit is that you get 5-second cooldown for each hook level. But you pretty much always want to max Rot first, because the slow goes up by, 7% per level, and the damage goes up, and most of your damage as a hero is coming from Rot, actually, and it's more reliable. If you have all of your skill points in meat hook and you miss your hook, then you're dealing much less damage. And I think what I've seen pro players do previous to this hook nerf is they would go 1-4-4 actually, where they'd max out Flesh Heap before they max out meat hook. But now I think they would probably do like a 4-4-1 build. So I would go 1-4-1, 1 point in hook, 4 points in Rot, and get 1 point of Flesh Heap. And then I would max out hook afterwards to get the cooldown down. Or maybe I'd get a 2nd point of Flesh Heap, because then you get 1.5 strength per Flesh Heap stack. And the magic resistance scales up a tiny bit, so 1 skill point is pretty good. Get ultimate whenever available. That's pretty much your basics, right? The hero as a whole, though, has amazing strength gain, really good base strength. His base movement speed is crap. His agility and int are terrible. And his base damage is actually really high. That's gotten buffed a few times recently. So right-clicking, you're very effective. Heroes you are bad against are basically heroes. These are pretty incredible percentages, I must say. Out of most of the heroes we've looked at for disadvantages, I don't think we've ever seen something nearing like 10%. In fact, I actually want to see just how deep this goes in, because this is all pretty interesting stuff. 11% IO, which makes sense. IO can save whoever gets hooked, or he can tether back to an ally when he gets hooked if he doesn't get dismember in time. Lone Druid, if you dismember either Lone Druid or his bear, the bear is basically going to walk up to Pudge and cast Roar, which is going to make the dismember stop. Puck is like very difficult to catch after you hook him. You would need to dismember afterwards. Tiny has high status resistance, so the dismember doesn't last very long, and he probably goes around bursting you down. There's just a lot of heroes that work very effectively against a guy that has really high HP. That's my dog, that's Cone. So there's a lot of advantages. And in fact, there aren't a huge amount of There's a lot of disadvantages, but there aren't a lot of advantages. These are just like overall hero matchup stuff. But I think a lot of this is probably because using Pudge is still very skill-based and kind of difficult, so the average player is just not going to do very well. But this is a little bit misleading, I would argue, because his win rate is actually really good right now. 50% or higher for players that are Divine and Immortal. So, common items, Tranquil Boots is pretty much a necessity, because when you're not taking damage, you get regen. So anytime you do Rot, you can heal back up. I think Blink Dagger is amazing on the hero, because it allows you to blink into short range and cast Dismember. I think that's by far one of the best items you can get. Aether Lens is good, because it does increase your cast range, gives you more mana pool, which is really needed a lot of times. And it gives you a little bit of mana regen. Not that it's great, because you have shitty int, so the mana regen doesn't go very far. But I think Blink is fantastic. Aether Lens is very good too, depending on the right circumstances, especially if you have allies that are setting up disables. Rod of Atos can work, because you can use it to root your target for 2 seconds, which sets up a hook. But generally, I'd prefer you spend this money on a Blink Dagger personally, because then you can more likely get reliable kills on people without having to rely on getting a hook first, which is the easy way to script the hero. If you're always trying to land hooks and you don't land hooks, you're going to have a bad time. Urn, fantastic item. Really, really good item. 2 armor, 2 to all attributes, and 1 mana regen. So this is a good way to get a little bit of stats. The armor is invaluable in this hero because his agility gain is low and his armor is bad. So any armor that you have when you're a high HP hero goes a long way. And when you kill heroes, you get 2 Urn charges, which you can use to do damage to your opponents and to heal you up afterwards or heal up your allies. So Urn of Shadows is fantastic. Transitions naturally with Spirit Vessel, decreases healing for your opponents when you use it, deals percentage-based damage, and also heals you percentage-based on how much HP you have. So Spirit Vessel is a natural transition. I think you should pretty much always have Urn of Shadows. Try to get a Spirit Vessel in most games, but not all of them. Kind of depends on what you're up against. If they have like high HP heroes or high regen heroes, Spirit Vessel is kind of mandatory. Magic Wand also super needed, just because people will cast spells on you when you're close to them, and you're also going to need this for mana, since your mana pool is pretty low. So for a mere 450 gold, if you have a lot of HP, this means you're going to get charges, and the charges just might save your life. Things like Heart shouldn't be bought, because this is like an exaggeration, like, oh, I'm winning a lot, let's buy another Heart. Almost always you're going to want a different item over Heart. I don't think that's a good pickup, although it does increase the damage that your ulti does. I guess I didn't explain his skills super well, but yeah, Flesh Heap, if people die within 450 range of your hero, you get a Flesh Heap stack, which gives you strength once you skill the skill. And it's okay if those kills happen before you get Flesh Heap, the skill. They'll add up later. They'll accrue later when you skill it. Dismember is just a channeled 3-second stun. Actually, Aether Lens, my favorite thing about Aether Lens probably, I haven't built it very much on Pudge, but by far the best thing about it is that it increases the range of your Dismember. The cast range on this is really close. It's like melee range. So if you increase that range by 250, that can really help you land Dismembers. So I really like Aether Lens for that reason. I still prefer Blink Dagger over Aether Lens, but Aether Lens can be really good, and Dismember becoming longer range is certainly part of that. Talent-wise, generally rot damage is kind of seen as better. It's through 35 damage, so it's like an extra skill point. But you have to remember that if you're disabling somebody for 3 seconds with Dismember, that means that for all of those 3 seconds you're getting bonus rot damage. So if you increase your rot damage by another 35, that means that you're increasing your Dismember combo by an extra about 100 damage. So that's pretty useful. Not to mention that if you're killing creeps with rot, you'll kill them faster. And that as your strength increases, your magic resistance goes up. Same with getting more Flesh Heap points. It gives you more strength bonus, which is slightly more magic resistance per point. So the more rot damage you get, ultimately it doesn't matter that much. In a lot of cases, you can also just buy a hood on Pudge if you feel like they have a lot of magic damage, and you're slightly worried about the damage you deal with rot. Just buy a hood. That way the magic damage you take is reduced, and your mana or HP regen goes up. But sometimes XP gain could be good. Generally, I would probably stay away from it, I guess, just because the rot damage is good. But I guess I would say if you're behind a lot, it might be better to go experience gain just to try to catch up in levels, so that you get lower, better skill points, so that you get your talents a little bit faster, that kind of thing. 15, I almost always get spell lifesteal, just because it means that if you're doing rot damage to a hero or hook damage to a hero, you're healing from it. That helps you go longer when you're rotting against heroes and creeps. Rot Slow has a pretty equivalent win rate though. Rot Slow, I would argue, is good in certain matchups. Like if I'm like super ahead, maybe it might be nice to get, or if I'm against a lot of melee heroes, it might be nice to get, or if my opponents don't have a lot of disables. If I get on top of somebody and my Rot Slow all of a sudden becomes 44% permanent while I stand next to them, that's pretty useful. But generally, I'm a bigger fan of spell lifesteal. But certainly Rot Slow could be good. If they have movement speed heroes, if they have high movement speed heroes, this could help too. Just help keep them next to you longer, perhaps. At 20, cooldown reduction actually has a higher win rate. because it helps you hook faster and lower cooldown. It also lowers your ulti cooldown, it lowers your blink dagger cooldowns. There's a lot of really good things about cooldown reduction actually. 180 GPM is certainly tempting though, and most players do pick that up. Just because it helps you get further items, but cooldown reduction is really valuable in a huge amount of ways. 25 if you get there, you can either get 2 more strength from each flesh heap that you get, or you can get plus 3 seconds of dismember duration. That's your ulti. So rather than stunning for 3 seconds channeled, it would stun for 6 seconds, which is pretty incredible. But there is a slightly higher win rate on flesh heap stack strength, which is kind of interesting. But it's not too unexpected, I guess, because if you get an ultra late game, especially if you're doing well, you could have like 20 flesh heap strength. So that's basically an extra 40 strength, which is a massive, massive amount. I think that ends up being like 5 or 7% magic resistance, I think. Not to mention the actual, it's like 880 HP or something like that. That's ridiculous if you think about it. Makes all of your armor go longer, makes their spells do slightly less damage. It's pretty good, but hypothetically as well, if you're catching somebody in 6 seconds of disable, they're gonna die. So, and you can cast this through magic immunity is one of the best things about dismember as well. It doesn't deal damage, but it will still stun them. So that's Pudge as a whole. Definitely has changed a little bit over time, but is still very good, and he's one of the most picked heroes in the pro scene right now. So I encourage you guys to keep an eye on him and maybe put him into your compendium here. So let's get it started. All right, so one of the other really good starting items that you can buy is an Orb of Venom. The reason being that when I do hook somebody out of position, I want to keep them there longer. When the rot slow was reduced, some people were theorizing, I think I maybe theorized this, maybe get Orb of Venom to help make up for some of the slow difference. But generally, it's still not very good to do that because you're still not trading that much better than your opponent because your armor is still so low. It's 0.2 at level 1 here without any bonus stats. So what is generally better to do is to hook somebody out of position, therefore I'm instantly getting 150 pure damage, and then as I'm hitting them, I'm dealing high damage, 62 on average, and I'm hitting for Orb of Venom, so they're taking an extra 15 magic over 3 seconds. So my big mistake here in this initial hook was that he was more likely to wrap here so that he didn't have vision, so my hook location was pretty crappy. And I instantly waste a huge amount of mana, but that doesn't mean that I'm not necessarily going to be interested in fighting my opponents. So I kind of waited here with Blanket, my axe, and I went for the right clicks. Although I think that he probably should have Battle Hungered the Silencer instead, maybe. Because Weaver can still get max movement speed when he uses Sakuchi, and at this point I have to be pretty careful. I'm definitely interested in doing right click stuff, but at this point when he has Sakuchi again, I know that he's going to be going for me, so I need to kind of run for my life. I think the Weaver should have gone a little bit deeper when he chased me here. He did catch me with Curse of the Silent, but I was watching the Weaver, and we were able to get the first blood. In fact, I was the one that got it using my Orb of Venom. Now, I could have used a Tango here to regen, and I probably should have, because I did give a kill response to the Silencer, and he actually got a lot of gold out of that. Probably because I was the one that got first blood or something. And I kind of also regret it because I lost 2 int due to the Curse of the Silent being what killed me. So I lose a pretty significant amount of mana, like 24 or something like that. So which, for the course of the laning stage, kind of sucks. Now, with that said, with oh, this was a nice hook. I actually want to go back and watch that because that was pretty sick. With me dying, though, I do get more mana. I did see him here, so I knew that he was going to go into this little pathway and likely wrap to the right, which is how I was able to get the hook. But that one felt really good. It felt like I made up for my previous death to me a little bit. Didn't get a huge amount of gold for it, but it was still a very, very solid kill. So the Orb of Venom just kind of works out nicely. Chris should be up here last hitting, but he's not as strong of a player, so he doesn't necessarily always go for those. But I'm certainly going to focus on denying when I can. It's definitely a very good thing about Pudge here, is that they have to worry about getting hooked, and even if they don't get hooked, they have to worry about me just power denying creeps using my high damage. Sometimes getting a Stout Shield is really good on Pudge as well, just because my HP is so high and my armor is so low. It can be really good just to offset some of the right-click harass I'm going to take, especially against a hero like Weaver. It's definitely nice to have. I should have probably started with a Clarity Potion or something like that, in my opinion. That way I could get my mana back up a little bit faster. If I did have level 2 previously, I probably would add Hook a little earlier. But either way, I'm definitely looking for a Hook on the Silencer whenever I can find it. That's the guy that's going to be by far the easiest to kill. So what I want to do generally is you want to hide in trees. If you're staying in lane, they always know where you are, and when that's the case, then it makes it a little bit easier for them to react correctly, or adjust their hero positioning to be on the opposite side of creeps of you, which makes the laning stage very hard. So ideally what you want to do is just hide in trees. Unfortunately though, because our creep wave is pushing, this makes actually fighting a little bit scary, because it means that they're likely going to have more creeps than us. Although running and pressuring the silencer right here sounds okay. And I think I kind of ditched Blank a little bit too much in these last couple seconds because I felt very comfortable bullying the axe a lot. But again, same thing. I'm pretty much looking for a silencer hook. That's the guy I want to go on. Because if I hook the Weaver, he's going to go invis, and he's going to run away from me, and I'm not going to get much rot damage in. That's consistently what's going to happen. I actually used that Tango a little early here. Because now my Tango is about to not be healed. But it actually worked out. I should have definitely hooked the Weaver here, because he just got out of a Sakuchi. I think that would have been a good idea. This guy's also got a Clarity Potion going, so ideally I would like to walk in and out damage it, and I'm able to do that. If you cast Rot, it actually doesn't count as a spell cast, it seems like. To be pretty careful here. And I actually just died in a stupid way. I do remember that that death moment. That one was pretty bad. I think I'm sitting around too long, and I think I just need to go for some hooks. Because I'm kind of just like giving them they're kind of just like winning trade advantage this whole time because they have ranged heroes. And I'm not going for anything, and I should. I should just like throw a damn hook and try to get some damage in. And some right clicks. But instead I'm looking for like the perfect snag. And during that whole time, they're just out harassing me, you know? Which isn't really a good thing to have. I thought he would juke top because I thought bottom was obvious. But he ended up juking the correct way. And that was also after curse, so that was kind of costly to me. I'm going to pop a salve here. Can't actually hook for a bit. I've got a mango if I can hook it. And I can see him low. And I can also see that he has no regen. So my expectation is that he's going to go back to heal. Which is why I'm wrapping around this way. So the nice thing is that he instantly ran back to the tower. That made this chase a lot easier. If he had just kept going, I would have had to use a mango or waited until I got mana for Meat Hook. But the fact that he made that mistake was certainly helpful. But it kind of sucks laning Pudge against Silencer, I must say. I've done this before, played Pudge versus Silencer, and it feels bad because every time you die, you lose mana, and then all of a sudden it's very hard to cast your combo because this end game is so crappy. So it kind of forced me to spend a lot more mana on, or a lot more gold on mana pool than I maybe would like. I mean, there's ways to solve this problem, obviously, but... And here, I'm just going to come in and harass this guy whenever possible. I do have to be careful now, because my HP is pretty low. And I also don't want to waste hook mana if possible. Killing Silencer would feel a lot better. Silencer's actually ganking the mid lane right now. But Silencer just doesn't have a good way to get me from stop killing him if I do catch him out of position. So the fact that I see Silencer mid means that he's very likely to shift from mid back down here. If I had full HP, I'd feel a lot more comfortable going to fight him, but because I'm sitting at only about 400, this doesn't feel very good. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to hang out and go for bounties. I asked Chris to come over here, and I just wanted to check the high ground here to make sure that the Silencer wasn't actually in this location. I'm going to die here. But luckily I was able to deny. I didn't necessarily have to go for the hook, because throwing the hook was a little bit gambly, but it did guarantee that the Silencer died before I died, and luckily the rot damage was plenty to score the kill here. It's like they're trying to kill Chris. Really wanted to get this kill. Weaver, the weakness of Weaver early game is almost always that he has a long cooldown on his spell, Sakuchi. Spotted him here, figured he was going to arc to the right, and he actually went a little straight. Felt really good about that hook. That one was completely blind, you know, high chance that I missed that one. But it being nighttime, it certainly helps a little bit. Used Rot to get that last hit, because if I attack, it's going to break my Tranquil Boots. And breaking your Tranquil Boots means that you're now slower as a hero, and you won't be getting the same regen. Same thing here. I'll Rot to chase and walk into melee range on this guy. There's kind of a big creep wave here, so this isn't maybe good. And now it's actually terrible. As soon as the Weaver gets on top of me, this is a really bad thing. If I attacked that a little earlier, I would have been okay. Definitely a big mistake. But still maybe should get a Stout Shield. I kind of feel like now watching this, I'm dying so fast. And the Weaver bugs also reduce armor, meaning that any right clicks that I ever take are just going to shred me. I think it was a really big mistake not to buy this earlier. And I figured it out this stage, but I think I should have bought it maybe after my first death, perhaps. I mean, I got faster boots this way, but I like really needed Stout in a large way. I was asking Chachi at this point to get a stun point, because once he gets a stun point, then he can stun the Medusa, and then we can easily get a kill. So I'm kind of watching this to see if it's worth me spending time on it. And I think it is. Generally, when you're thinking about ganking a different lane like this, I think I missed TP'd. I think they saw this edge here. I should have put it a little bit central here. That way the circle is all obscured. So this was kind of a big mistake. But I figured that if I'm dead like this, it's an okay time to roam around and go for a kill attempt. I also brought a ward. It's okay for Pudges to buy Observer Wards. I actually walked right by an Observer Ward just now, and I think they just didn't even notice or something. Landed the hook there just to be reliable on it. This guy actually did already use his shield, so I'm actually interested in trading now. Just because I want to harass him. I have way more HP than he does anyways. But 3 points of Rot now, 90 damage to myself and anyone nearby. I've got 1 point of Flesh Heap, which gives me 8% magic resistance. And I also have 6 bonus strength because of this skill point, because I've been in 6 kills already. I've been pretty active. I've definitely had a couple deaths that probably didn't need to happen, that were basically just like me waiting too long and getting killed. But so far I'm relatively pleased with how I've been playing. That guy got absolutely shredded, and this should be an easy kill now. Now remember that when you go for kills like this, I know this may seem kind of obvious, but in this moment right here, right after this Abaddon dies to the Shadow Wave, almost every player at this moment would throw the hook. So like, oh, this guy's running in a straight line. It's really important that you don't throw the hook in these moments, because you simply don't need to. I am pretty much as fast as this guy. I'm a little bit slower actually because he's disgustingly fast and he has a windlace. But I have a great vantage position. The only way this guy lives is running to his tower. So if I'm between him and his target, if I throw my hook now and I miss, then I waste my hook mana. Instead, all I need to do is walk this direction and turn Rod on, and instantly he's screwed. Because now, boom, he's slowed. He's down to 317 movement speed. Even when I break my Tranquils, I got on a 343. So I'm slowing him, I'm dealing damage with the Orb of Venom as well, and then if I really need to, I can throw the hook. And through this whole engagement, I save my hook mana, I save my hook cooldown, I can use it against the Silencer if I really want to. I was thinking about diving. I was taking a little bit too much damage though. Like, you do not need to waste your hook there. Don't go through these like skill plays. Go for these skill plays when you need to go for the skill plays. But other than that, you should ignore them. Chris ended up dying here. I kind of left him solo for a long time. That was probably a minute and a half. So probably a bit of a mistake. Raindrop is really good at this point too, because it's giving me a little bit of trickle mana regen, so I can hook more often. I still haven't needed to eat my mango yet. Maybe I should have at some point, but you know, the HP regen that I get from it is also good. It's giving me, on paper, 0.5, but with my high strength, I'm getting 30% bonus regen. So it's really giving me more like, what is that, 6.5? Comes a little stun here. So it was pretty important there that I go into melee range again. I wanted to land a reliable meat hook. So I get in, use Rot, and then throw the hook to lower his int, or his mana, because he had mana shield on. And by doing that, what I did was I guaranteed that he wasn't going to be able to, cast his ulti. Because if he casts his ulti, maybe he lives. So little rotations like this, appearing from lane to lane, is really good to do. But I definitely need to get back down here to help out my axe. Unfortunately, he just time-lapsed right before my ulti was ready. Fortunately, my bro is going to die here. Unfortunately, I didn't do quite enough damage. I got there a little bit late. Maybe Axe should have been attacking his bugs, because if he starts attacking his bugs right away, I could help attacking his bugs, but he kind of delayed that a bit. I also had to put the raindrop in the backpack, because I need this for my urn. Very important. If I lose the raindrop, then I waste 225 gold. I put it back in my inventory at this moment because my mana is pretty low and I don't expect to take hero damage. So I thought that I could get away with getting my regen up a little bit faster. Actually, it made an urn. I should have started the clarity at the secret shop though. This is a mistake, because now I'm starting it much later than I need to, or than I could have. But either way, I'm waiting for bounty runes. I could have maybe gone to the lane to control the lane, but going for runes like this is definitely far better for the team's outcome, especially because we have an alchemist. So he just got bonus gold from these. We ended up getting, I believe, 3 or something like that. Oh, actually, we got all 4. So super beneficial. And now with a clarity potion and an urn, my mana is actually completely full already. So certainly looking for hooks here if I can manage it. He might have time lapse off cooldown at this point, and if this is a different carry, this is certainly easier to snag some of these kills. But I was having Blitz come near me, that way I could land this hook and he could get the disable follow up. He missed his disable this time actually. And luckily he got his chop off right before the time lapse. But I certainly messed up my my ability. What you need to do actually when you hook is you use Shift Q and you cast Dismember when they're in vision. The problem is that when you hook people through trees, you lose vision briefly because they're not in vision anymore, they're in a tree. So when they actually arrive and then you try to click on them, it's very difficult sometimes. So it's better if you Shift Q Dismember while they're flying through the air. Then instantly when they're on top of you, your hero will automatically start casting Dismember. And then I would have had him disabled there. by the tree, and then it would have been an easy call follow-up. So I'm just hanging out again. Clarity Potion to refill my mana all the way. If he could land the call here. He does, and I'm going to walk out. Again, I'm not trying to land a hook necessarily. Now, that one was... I don't know, the way we did that may be a mistake. Once again, I think Chris probably needed to hit the bugs. I think also maybe I should have hooked before I dismembered. Might have been a good idea, but I went for the safe play of rotting into dismember. If I hook first and then dismember him, then he would have been low enough on HP that the chop would have worked. So maybe I should have gone for the hook first here. I'm also thinking about using an urn, which I will because I want to get my HP full. There has been a ward in this lane this whole time. Probably should have handled that by going for some sentries in that area. This is a great target for us to kill just because he's a hero that can't defend himself. Very easy grab. I'm just going to walk in and rot chase him. I don't necessarily want to right click him because that turns my tranquil boots off. But I definitely want to be there for the bonus strength. And now I'm just buying a couple items, buying a dust. Dust, sentries, things like that. Definitely what we need to control a Weaver. But either way, he has to deal with us kind of fishing around this area consistently. Also going to draw my tranquil boots while I do the small camp because I know it's going to take a moment for my allies to kill the creep wave. This is slightly dangerous because if Weaver comes invis, he's going to pick these up. But I just thought I've got a little bit of downtime. I'm going to go kill the creep camp and then instantly I'll pick up my tranquil boots and they'll be fine. I also could have put it in my backpack. That would have been the safer move, probably. I thought he was going to keep walking, but he stopped moving. And now because my axe is going to die, this is pretty dangerous, so we need to run away. He is able to break my tranquils at least. This kind of looks like a fight we can maybe take. You can always turn Rod on after you dismember if you're interested. After I did this, I realized it wasn't a very good plan. I did get a little lucky and got a deny off. I mean, they weren't dealing a lot of damage, it was just bug damage. So if they killed me there, it would have been a little bit unlikely, I suppose. But I probably shouldn't have gone for the dismember on the Weaver. That just didn't make a lot of sense. Like, when somebody's full HP, I really just don't do that much right now. I'm still only, what, level 7? Level 6, actually. I don't even have... I'm sorry, I am level 8. Excuse me. I mean, I could have done 220 pure with meat hook, but it just would have been like a time lapse or something. I can't remember if we saw his ulti go off. I don't think I did. So I gave him an urn charge so that he could heal back up to full a little bit faster. And then what we're going to do is just walk in. I think he went a little early. He should have waited until I was moving in. Here's a little trick you can do against an Abaddon. You can just ulti here. Because it doesn't do a lot of damage. It does 60 damage per second and an extra by 0.3 per strength. I've got about 60. So we're talking like 3 times 6. So this is like a 70 damage per second ulti. But I can disable him for 3 seconds. His ulti goes on, I disable him for 3 seconds, and then I go for the rot chase once his ulti runs out. So that was pretty easy. And his ulti just went off too. So that means that it's going to be on cooldown, I think, for 60 seconds. I get an extra skill point, put it into meat hook, so I want my damage and my cooldown to go down. My damage to go up, my cooldown to go down. Again, I could grab Flesh Heap and grab an extra 6 strength. Here comes Abaddon TPing back in the lane. With the ward, I can time this. He did not get his shield off, but pretty easy to kill him with AM blinking in 2. I also wanted to save Urn until after he uses Aphotic Shield, because Aphotic Shield does a strong dispel. If I put the Urn charge on him, I'll get damage for like 3 seconds, and then afterwards he'll cast Shield, he'll remove the Urn. So I want to wait until after the shield comes off, that way I get 6 seconds until his next ability. I'm just using the Shrine in this case because I needed the mana regen, and I'm prepping to TP bottom because I want to fight down here. It would be maybe nice to get a sentry on the cliff, because if they have a ward spotting me, there's a high chance that I don't land the hook. But this ward over here that they have actually did spot me TPing out, I believe. It's ops, not a sentry. Here's a super easy catch. Just really easy. Cast my ulti, walk into melee range. No need to hook gamble that. A lot of players, again, they'll be like, oh, here's a hero close by, I can hook this guy. They'll throw the hook. They'll miss the hook, and then while they're busy standing still throwing a hook, the hero's just walking away. Just always walk to your opponent and make him think about juking you, basically. That was a huge mistake. You don't want to use Saguchi like that for a full duration and then go for the chase. And then end up using time lapse. If you're going to time lapse, you want to do it right away usually, and then Sakuchi to run away. So I knew he made a mistake, which is why I went to pressure him there. And after he uses time lapse, I know that any damage I deal to him is going to be advantageous. I don't really want to hit this tower right now because I'm not quite full HP, so I want to let the Tranquils go a little bit farther. But I will also walk into trees here. That way I can maybe spot if somebody's teleporting in or if somebody's hiding here. And the other benefit is now that people don't know where I am exactly, I can just land really easy hooks like this. As long as I ulti before he silences me, this will be an easy kill. And that felt good. Pretty simple grab. Both Skywrath Mage and Silencer, I'd argue, are easy heroes for you to play against as Pudge. Just because if you do hook them out of position, they can't defend themselves very well. The best defenses are usually stuns, because that way if they stun me in time, then while I'm stunned, they're going to be walking away, and usually they'll get out of rot range at that point. I like placing the sword, but I think it is actually pretty easily shown. I was very glad he called there, because I actually ran out of mana to cast Dismember, but felt good about that hook. I don't know if he had vision or not of me being in the area, but I am very clearly lacking. I think we did see a hero teleport in. We saw like a small animation here. I don't have hook mana, of course, and if I hook, then I don't have ulti mana, so just kind of like walking around, making him run away from me is pretty much the battle plan here. Maxed out hook all the way. Maybe I should have gone more Flesh Heap. I kind of feel like I should have. It was 17-second cooldown, you know, it's pretty low. Don't forget that you can always cancel your hook animation. You don't have to throw it right away. Now it seemed we could see a lot of heroes. 2 heroes here, 1 teleporting. It's time for us to back up temporarily and play it safe. So queuing up a Spirit Vessel at this point. Used to smoke at this point. I didn't want to stand over here when I smoke because it would be more obvious, but I thought I'll just go rotate mid. There's a Medusa mid. Our Alka's still sitting there. This will be easy. Throw the stun, get the kill. Pretty cake. In between hook and my ulti, I should have enough damage. We figured he was jungling. So we end up finding the Skywrath Mage. Unfortunately, though, he walked out of range here. Threw an urn on him to try to do some damage, but probably not going to get a kill. Global Silence kind of prevented my ability to catch that guy. Certainly thinking about going for a hook. Was able to catch the Silencer. It's going to cost me in curse damage, but you know, more Flesh Heap, all good stuff. Extra 22 HP. And we're able to do this, get a kill, and take the tower afterwards. So just being, what you want to do as a Pudge is you usually want to be in places where your allies are being aggressive. This is pretty much a rule for any hero. You want to be in a place where your allies are going to be being aggressive under a tower. Because if your hero is a Pudge, that means you can hook behind the tower, you can score kills, you can help your allies take the tower as a result of those kills. If you get kills under tower, boom, the game becomes really easy. Because as soon as I kill the Silencer, they don't feel comfortable fighting around that area. Because like, well, we don't have a Silencer now. He's not going to be very safe. I just saw the Skywrath Mage had actually no items, and I was kind of blown away. Changed my item on, or changed my idea or my mind on the item build. Queuing up a Blink instead. The reason being that it's very good against Weaver. It's going to allow me to instantly get into melee range and score a kill. And also the same principle for Sky and Silencer. If I can instantly get on top of those heroes, it's going to be a really easy kill to snag. And my levels are really good at this point. I'm level 11. I think I went for rot damage, pretty sure. I seem to remember this pause was relatively long, so that's why I'm speeding this up. But I'm 10, 5, and 8 right now. I've been in 18 of my team's 18 kills, actually. I didn't realize that at this point, but I've literally been there for every kill. Is that true? I wasn't there for that Abaddon kill that one time. I'm confused. That one time that Abaddon got shadow waved, I wasn't there for that. But yeah, this is what I want to do. If my allies are pressuring towers, I want to be in this area. That way they don't feel comfortable standing forward. And they're being definitely too scared right now, more than they need to be. They should just be like show of forcing, like grab 3 or 4 heroes and come and fight, but they don't feel very comfortable doing so. And now we're kind of using that terror of them, or that terror that they feel inside, to kind of just control the map really easily. End up getting 3 bounty runes here. Grabbed a second point of my Dismember now. Now it's a 50% better strength multiplier, 50% better in damage. Slightly lower cooldown, 25 mana cost goes up a bit. But ultimately this is great. I've got Blink Dagger now. Something I didn't have all game is Wand, actually. This is a big mistake. I think around this point was where I was like, oh, I should really have a Wand. This is why I've been having mana problems. If I had even just a Magic Stick this whole time, in some of those engagements I would have had easily enough mana to get my follow-up abilities, like the kill on the Weaver here. But it wasn't until I bought the Blink Dagger that I realized, like, oh, I'm missing something huge. Just because my item build was full that sometimes I forget, like, oh, there's something huge that I'm missing. If I have an orb and a stout shield, it's very easy to forget. So what I want to do here is I want to wait for the axe to get closer, because axe has blink dagger, as do I. So what we're going to do is wait until he's in blink range, and that way he can get the follow-up disable. That was actually really close. I probably initiated a little too early there. Pretty big mistake. In fact, another mistake that I made was that I ran this way. As soon as that Medusa was there, I should have arced into the trees, because at least then he wouldn't have been able to attack me. This is like the point of the game where you remember, like, oh, that's right, I'm a Pudge. I take insane amounts of physical damage from enemy right clicks. So I will buy some more support items, observer wards, tomes. Chachi in some trouble here. It will take me quite a while to heal back up, but I think, yeah, I use the shrine here. Ends up giving me like 800 or something. 600 HP. So you don't want to use all of your urns to heal yourself, basically. Sometimes it's just better to rely on the Tranquil Boots, for example. Because, you know, this is damage against enemy heroes. It's 25 damage per second. It's that's a 200 magic damage. It's a really good item to pick up if you're trying to score these kills. Hey look, a silencer farming in the mid lane. I'm just checking blink range. That's why I was hovering my mouse over it. I like doing this sometimes because you can make mistakes. So the example is, so we go free camera really quick. Alright, so this is my blink range, right? If you click farther than this, you blink shorter. You end up blinking something like 900 units or something. So if I just, basically the range is where this range creep is, right? If you click farther, like if I try to blink here right now, instead of blinking here to my limit, I'll blink like right here. You get less distance. So what I like doing when I approach like this is I like hovering my mouse over the blink dagger icon. That way I can see exactly what the range is. That way, if I know that I'm casting a melee range ability on Dismember, I shouldn't blink until this is in range. And that's why I go in. I blink, I instantly cast Rot to get some slow on the opponent, and then I cast my ulti. And if I really wanted to be perfectly efficient, I would have blinked in and I would have used Urn of Shadows as well. That way, while I'm beginning to chase him, I blink in, I use Urn while he's under my Rot range, and then I instantly cast ulti. So now, because I have Blink Dagger, I can instantly get these kills really easily. He can't defend himself easily. All he could do is cast like Last Word or Curse or something to punish me in terms of damage. But none of that stuff really matters that much. It doesn't bother me. This ward is almost surely going to get dewarded later. Probably should have bought some more sentries, perhaps. Same thing. Hey, there's a Skywrath Mage. Let's do some damage. He actually has a lot more HP than his other buddies do. But my right click is actually really beefy at this stage. Feels good. Oh, I hit the Weaver. I was going to say I was very confused in this moment. I was like, wait, what did my hook hit? Chris is not very good about killing the bugs, that is for sure. I don't know if he got the attack speed talent, but this is certainly a good game for it. I think we already heard his ultimate go off, so that was just a super easy grab. I just need to dodge the bugs, and then I should be okay. And as soon as I take that, I can earn myself if needed. Oh, that's right, and the Weaver was on top of me. The power of Wand, guys. Isn't it great? I also could have just TP'd right away, probably. Luckily, I was able to deny again. I definitely abused that a lot this game. But I keep forgetting about the Weaver gap closing to me. That guy, did we kill him? Is that his second death? Yeah, I think we did end up killing him there. I probably should have ultied or hooked right after my initial Dismember. See, he's got 2 bracers now. That's why he's a lot more survivable. That's the main reason. Queuing up a Staff of Wizardry. This is for a Force Staff, of course. Did I lose Int again? I did not, luckily. I didn't lose Int that time. But at this point, you almost always need something that increases your mana pool, whether that's going to be a Aether Lens for increased cast range or a Force Staff. Generally, I like Force Staff better, but Aether Lens certainly is much more mana. My mana pool didn't update until after I respawn. But this is extra 120 mana. The reason I need Force Staff this game over a Aether Lens is twofold. If I'm being chased by a Weaver or somebody, or if I'm silenced, being able to Force Staff myself to safety is a lot safer. Grabbing Chris here to go set up a gank somewhere, and it looks like a lot of heroes are mid, so we might just wrap there. But the other reason Force Staff is really important is because of the item that Weaver's building. He's been working on a Linken's for a long time, and he's about to finish it, which means that when that comes up, I need to make sure that I have a way to break his Linken's ready. And that's what I'm going to be able to do. Ended up going on the Weaver here. Don't know if this is the right move. Probably wasn't. Again, he did the same thing again. Sakuchi'd away. I should have really dusted. I don't know why I didn't dust here. It's a very easy dust. Still haven't dusted. I don't know why I didn't dust there. That was a decent moment to chase that guy. They did deward my ward over here, it seems. But instead we said, bounty rinse, disengage. Oh, we're winning by a lot of gold. Holy crap. Let's check the net worth. I'm sure Chachi's. Wow, Anti-Mage is actually way up there too. They're both doing really good this game. But yeah, finish the Force Staff. That way, if I'm ganking the Weaver, what I can do is I can blink in, use Force Staff on him to break his Lincolns, and then I can use my ulti. If you don't get a way to break Lincolns, then Pudge really falls off in the mid game. This is where I picked up Spell Lifesteal. So I'll get Lifesteal out of any spells. Spell damage that I deal, which is kind of a lot. Got Abandon down here. I knew that he had already used his ulti on the mid lane, so this was a super, super easy kill. Same thing, just Blink Dagger. Instantly, we're doing a lot of damage. Now getting 53 strength from all of the kills that I've been in. Been in 21. I've been in Flesh Heap range of 21 of the 24 kills. Got another pause for the Weaver. He was having some issues. Checking out Chachi's items. But did Chris go attack speed? He didn't. I think attack speed actually would have been huge against the Weaver bugs, really, because Axe's armor is actually not very high, so armor reduction against him can be really beneficial, even though he does have damage block. I think that would have been much more effective. Very close to Force Staff. Finishing. Boy, I was on 16 times. Saw the Silencer appear mid, so I'm holding my mouse over the blink again, looking for ranges, seeing if I can find him. Same thing. Hey, you found a hero. He's going to silence me, though. But boy, do my right clicks do a lot. This is something I really noticed this game against. He's like, I should have been running after this guy a lot faster. This is a big mistake to... Went for the Rot Chase here. I was blocking him a little bit, I suppose. Did not... I'm not doing a great job of dismembering him in time. But Sakuchi is definitely a good way to get out of those issues. Now it seems like they're going to try to kill our Dazzle, so kind of just playing around this, dodge the bugs, all good, all good. I blinked away because I was worried about getting hit by Weaver and Viz. That was not exactly the longest distance hook, but I think he's going to make it. Yeah, he looks fine. Someone's chasing you like this, occasionally tapping Rod on would be nice, but now that Axe is here, now we're going to be able to chase some more. This is bad ulti because he instantly is going to use Dismember. At this point, I kind of want to chase, but it also feels weird. Don't know if I actually caught him. Looks like I didn't. I also really need to use my magic stick. It's at 10 charges. As soon as it hits 10 and you're missing HP and mana, you should use it. Especially when my mana is this low. Because there's probably a lot of spells that have been cast that I haven't gotten charges for. And I could also drop my Staff of Wizardry when I do this. So I'm definitely misusing my abilities a little bit, and I'm not really coordinating perfectly. We need to like target just one guy, target Weaver or target Abaddon and go all in on them. 58 strength. Feels good. This is definitely a good rune for me to have. I don't know why I didn't grab that. Why didn't I grab that? Did I not see it? I'm confused. But I should have definitely grabbed that. This was a mistake. I should have blinked into melee range, because I would have gotten one more Flesh Heap. But I didn't think about it. See, this is the range. If you're not within this range when somebody dies, you don't get it. So I basically just lost 2.5 strength there. All this strength that I have is all damage. I mean, I'm hitting for 177. All these guys have low armor. It's not the guy I meant to hook. I was hoping to get Sky, but I hesitated. Finally used my wand here, or my magic stick. Now I'm kind of swapping items in and out. I'm thinking about getting my Spirit Vessel now that I've got Blink and Force. I feel like that covers all my bases decently. Something like a gem's not a bad idea either. Something like a Ghost Scepter isn't bad at all. Even like an armor item would be really good. Just because I have so much HP right now that if you pick up an armor, it increases your... If I pick up like a plate mail for 1400 gold, it increases my HP, my effective HP by 50% against physical damage. If I only take physical damage and I buy a plate mail, I take 50%. Is it more actually? It used to be 60% for plate mail. It used to be 6% per, but I think it's 5 per now. I think they lowered the benefit of armor slightly. So I think it's 50%, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check later. I might be getting the numbers a little mixed up. But, yeah, increasing your armor against a Weaver, a guy that's going to be able to gap close really easily, is super beneficial, because I just don't have that much right now. 4.6 plus 2. A measly 2. Lotus Orb is pretty common on Pudge a lot of times. Something like a Shiva's is really good. AC is not recommended. You should almost always go Shiva's over AC. But I don't know, I have a lot of damage right now. Maybe a Shiva's, or maybe an AC is kind of cool. It's pretty expensive though. I'd probably rather have like a Lotus Orb plus one other item. So Lotus Orb's like 3,900 gold, I think. AC is like 5,300. So I could have like half of a Force Staff with a Lotus Orb AC. Found a hero hitting a creep wave. Super easy grab. Checking my flesh heaps. I got him. Have been able to turn that on. Forced him away. I think that helped. Maybe shouldn't have gone for the blind hook. Ooh, I got bugs on me. This is one of the reasons I kind of want a Glimmer Cape, actually. So now I'm very likely to die here. I think this one is death without suicide. No. I forgot about that one. That one was actually really egregious. I definitely should have died that time. So if you get a Glimmer, if you're against a Weaver, honestly, as a support, buying a Glimmer Cape is almost always the best move. Because as soon as you get a Glimmer Cape and you get bugs on you, you just press Glimmer, you go invis, and instantly the bugs are gone. It's by far the best way to deal with it, is to go invisible. So if, yeah, the Weaver, like, you either get a Ghost Scepter or Glimmer, and Glimmer is by far the best one. If they have detection and it's like a big team fight, Ghost Scepter is going to work better. But Glimmer alone, like, once the bugs aren't on you, Weaver's job is so much different. It's like it deals less damage. He doesn't always know exactly where you are. You can juke him, things like that. This game I didn't really feel like I needed to, but might have been worth getting, because there's definitely a lot of times the bugs were an issue. Or I could just buy an armor item. That would also solve problems. What I did buy before I died, because when you suicide, by the way, you don't give your opponents gold and experience, but you still lose gold for your death. So suiciding still means you should probably buy out if possible. And in my case, I bought out a Ghost Scepter, which I thought would also be good, because then I can just become physical immune for 4 seconds, which is good against Weaver. It'll solve some of those problems. Not bad against Silencer either, I would argue. So many bugs to get gold from. And then now I'm putting items in my inventory that I will need. What is this? That's a sentry. Okay, I just wanted to have the items, that way I can finish a spirit vessel if I'm out on the map. It's like my team is kind of dying in multiple ways. Almost level 20. I had to force forward to get that one. I was very confused when he didn't come back. I was like, but he was right there. What happened? Very close to the Spirit Vessel, so I'm going to finish it here. I think a lot of times that you actually see core Pudges, or Pudges that are doing really well, Treads is a pretty common pickup as well. Maybe that was something I should have considered. Probably not, because by the time I was owning, I just had Tranquil Boots. Like, it was still pretty early. And I had already made a boot choice for obvious reasons. But Treads can be really good on this hero as well, because you've got all this bonus damage from all the strength gain, that if you just add a little attack speed to your hero, it makes it good. That's why I was talking about AC being kind of cool. But ultimately not worth grabbing an AC, just because of the better other options and the extreme cost of it. Still, watching this, I still really feel like I should have picked up an armor item. Like, I think it was fine to go Ghost Scepter, and maybe Spirit Vessel was good, but again, if I just spend a mere 1,400 gold on a plate mail, my survivability becomes ridiculous, and I never really put enough attention towards that. Even like against creep damage, it's kind of severe. I guess neither of my resistances are that great, but I do have a lot of really good offensive tools. This is kind of dangerous because I don't have much vision, but it does end up working out just fine. I should have probably Spirit Vesseled at the start of that. I did not do that. Use one on the Weaver here too. Brought myself some more wards, detection, stuff like that. Trying not to get stunned here. Ooh, I'm gonna get bugs on me. That was a large mistake. I'm kind of choking this fight. I don't think I'm really doing anything. Eventually I do force myself in though. I think I waited too long. Let's go back and digest exactly what I should have done, because I remember in this moment I got really flustered. So, this is Medusa ulti going off. I'm gonna go free camera here. Chachi's got a stun. Chachi throws a stun. First huge mistake is that I let the bugs hit me. That disables my blink dagger. Massive mistake. I didn't really know if I was going to feel comfortable going in. But that said, he's really farmed. His net worth is actually incredible at this point. He's just reflecting damage. He's healing damage. He's got a Manta style. And there wasn't really anything that made me feel like it was time to go in necessarily. I don't know. I guess I just felt more comfortable to go in. But I think I should have probably gone in earlier. Maybe even like hooked the Medusa out or something. Like right here I could have maybe hooked her out. Instead I went for a force staff in with a dismember. The only reason this even worked was because the Badim ran out of mana, but I don't think I was paying attention to that. So I get a whole bunch of damage off, she gets low, I get a melee range hook, I use Spirit Vessel, but again I didn't even use Spirit Vessel early. She doesn't have very much regen, so this isn't a big deal that I did this wrong, but 100% use Spirit Vessel as you go in. Because it does percentage based damage for how much you have, and she has more HP early, so I actually did in some ways kind of less damage by casting it late. Either way, she ends up dying. Chachi's still alive. He's got a lot of bugs on him, though. Actually, the bugs actually just simply ran out. Chachi did a really good job this game, I think. Kept himself alive pretty consistently, farmed really well. And now we're just looking for easy kills again. Hey, there's that silencer. I mean, my right clicks do actually so much damage. Even just a simple right click is incredible. Look at that. It's amazing. So, if you guys are curious, do I buy Ghost Scepter or do I buy Plate Mail? When you're ahead basically, and they're kind of like, in this game, I'm pretty easily staying alive, and I only have 8 armor. If they are crushing me, if they have like a Deso on Weaver or something, and he's like really cutting through me, then something like a Plate Mail isn't really going to cut it, because it's just going to slow things down, but I'll still die. And in those engagements, what you usually want to do is you want to play around your team and rely on a Ghost Scepter. That way, if he does try to go on me, I'm completely stopping his damage for 4 seconds. But if I'm in this game here, where I'm massively ahead, where they're having trouble dealing damage to me, if I just make my resistance better across the board, it's going to pay much more longevity, because in all circumstances that armor will be active. Whereas if I have a Ghost Scepter, it's only buying me 4 out of 17 seconds of invulnerability to physical damage. So that's something to consider. If you're stomping on people, resistance and more HP and armor is usually better, but if it's an even game, it's usually better to have like BKBs, Ghost Scepters, Glimmer Capes kind of stuff. That way you can survive the burst moments in these crazy team fights. So just something to consider. I did go cooldown reduction here. It puts my ulti down to 17 seconds, which is fine. It's not super low, but it's lower. Hook is down to 10.2. Force Staff down to 20 seconds instead of 22, I think. And Blink is at 12.75 instead of 15, I believe. Maybe it's like 24, I don't remember. Probably didn't matter because we're probably going to win. We're actually winning by a disgusting amount. 52,000 gold. That was, so it was quite the stomp. Once again, I didn't use Spirit Vessel early enough. I should have cast that instantly. Also having a bad incoming. Oh, sorry, the game's over. So, Super Stomp. But you guys should just see, like, think about how the game went. Ignoring how farmed Alchemist and Anti-Mage got, I'm constantly, once we got the tier, I'm basically always around an objective. I'm around their safe lane tier 1 looking for hooks. I'm around their mid tier 1 looking for hooks or ganking. I'll be around top, around their tier 1 looking for ganks or hooking. And then once we're out of the laning stage and we're basically pressuring the map, I just want to be where all the fights are going to be, and I want to take the gold advantage that I have and turn it into something more. So with a Blink Dagger, I can then start solo killing people. And once you get to that phase where you're not just like helping get kills, you're actually easily solo killing enemy heroes, that's basically where the game ends. And that's why these guys had sub 3k net worth, because I basically just go everywhere these guys are if I see them, and then I just solo kill them. And if I solo kill them and they don't have allies to back them up, then I just get more and more farmed, and they have more lack of being able to do anything on the map because they can't actually push. They can't actually group as 5. They have dead heroes. They can't global silence, all these things. So that's basically the recipe to easily winning games, is that your ganking becomes like a hero pick-off thing around objectives, and then when the objectives are gone, the towers, then they have way less safety. They can't hide by towers. They don't have towers for vision. They need to place wards to have vision of enemies. All of that really ruins their ability and confidence to win the game. So you just have to exert your pressure well as a support and find the right moments to snowball. And once you do that, once you exert more pressure, the game basically ends because they'll never get out of their base, which is kind of what happened. Interestingly, that he went Assault Cuirass. I'm guessing he did this because of some of the minus armor from Alk, but I don't think this was the right move. I think he would have been better off buying even like a Dragon Lance. I wouldn't necessarily go Hurricane Pike, but I'd go like Dragon Lance with, I don't know, maybe MKB or something. He did go Mask of Madness, that was fine. But I think a Dragon Lance plus maybe Butterfly. Dragon Lance Butterfly would have been really good. That way, Anti-Mage doesn't hit reliably. Alchemist can't hit reliably necessarily, even though most of Alk's damage is actually the stun once you get this talent. But I did the most damage this game. It was a really good Pudge game. But they had very susceptible heroes, and their heroes were not itemized correctly, and they were not played correctly to stay survivable. The only hero I didn't super shut down was Medusa. I made Weaver's life kind of hard to farm because I was kind of always pressuring him. His GPM definitely should be higher, but we did definitely gank him a decent amount. And Medusa was Medusa, but she wasn't going to outfarm an Alchemist, and we also had an Anti-Mage to match up against her, so no matter what happened, we were going to beat Medusa late game. And a couple of the ganks I did on the Abaddon were really helpful. The 2 kills we had on him in the laning stage in a row, Muster really wrecked his laning stage. We can probably see his player net worth. I would guess it's probably this moment here where he went flat. Or maybe it was a pre-10. I had my ultimate, so I feel like it was probably post 10 minutes, but not sure. How did Chachi do? Chachi just kind of went crazy. It was good. I was proud of the team. Everybody played really well this game. Poor Sky and flat lines. My God, this looks so unfun. So things that they should have done differently to probably try to get back in the game. Number one is they should have been ganking Anti-Mage. I almost never covered Anti-Mage in the lane, so they should have gone places where they expected Anti-Mage to farm and killed him. It's very hard to do once he gets Manta style. And Manta-wise, he had that finished at decent timing, 23 minutes. He went BOTs first. Oh, that's Elk. I'm confused. All right, there it is. 23 minutes. So pre-Manta, they needed to gank the crap out of Anti-Mage, and they didn't do that. And the problem is that their 3 cores are all too farm heavy. Medusa is going to AFK farm, doesn't gank well. Weaver is definitely can gank, but didn't itemize correctly for it. He went for a Lincoln Sphere. That's the wrong move. He should have gone Diffusal Blade probably. Lincoln's is good. It's going to stop my ulti. It's going to stop Alk stun. It's going to stop Anti-Mage ulti. But it's just not, it's so expensive. It's 5,000 gold and it doesn't increase his damage. Weaver's a hero that needs to take the laning stage and then be survivable while farming, while getting pickoffs here and there. And Lincoln's doesn't really do that. If he spends 3,000 gold and he gets a Diffusal Blade, then he's doing 70 mana burn on people. If he initiates on me and starts mana burning me for 70 mana, I run out of mana instantly and then I can't do anything in the fight, for example. And he could get that so much earlier than Lincoln Sphere. Maybe he needed the Ring of Health, but so Weaver needed a active item, that way he could set up kills with the Skywrath and the Silencer, but I think they were maybe the weaker players on the team. They didn't really know where to go and what to do. They needed to basically do constant smoke ganks with Sky, Silencer, Weaver, I think, while Abaddon and Medusa were the ones that split push. Abaddon pushes the lanes that are more dangerous, Medusa plays somewhere jungle and mid, and then Weaver, Silencer, Sky set tempo, and then Abaddon can also join the fights because he could just put shields on people that get disabled. They certainly could have fought. And Radiance Abaddon takes a long time to finish too, is the other problem. That until you finish this item, look at this difference. Between 6 minutes 45, and we're going to ignore Sacred Relic because it's not that great as an item raw. It's 60 damage, it's good, but it's not incredible. Between 6:45 and 20 minutes, this guy had nothing better on his itemization. He didn't have a wand, he just had phase boots. And until he finishes Radiance, his hero doesn't do anything. And even once he gets it, by the time it's finished, it's that's cool, you got a Radiance, but we had a Radiance earlier. This guy's actually already got BOTs and a Yasha and almost has Manta. And that was, did I have Blink Dagger already? Yeah, I got Blink Dagger about the same time. So it's you need this. This isn't a terrible timing. It should be a little earlier because he rushed it so fast if he's having a good game. But it just doesn't create any tempo on the game. And until Medusa even gets I have Scotty, they don't feel comfortable fighting. So this was just a pretty super stompy game. Felt good, and that's kind of how you play Pudge and how to snowball on him. Combo with ally disables is good, but yeah, Blink Dagger, Aether Lens, stuff like that. You're gonna see a lot of Pudge at TI. I'm sure you guys are seeing a lot of Pudge in your pubs. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.